guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Andrea, and today we're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about the reasons you're broke. And I'm not here today to bash anyone, and I am terrible at saving my money. But I've just been thinking about the fact that we all work so hard to earn our money, but yet we're so quick to spend it. A lot of advice that I see on YouTube regarding how to save your money, I feel like is geared towards people in middle class or in the upper class. And the reality is that a lot of people in America do not make that much money. Most of us are barely hanging in there. And I feel like we need more realistic advice on how to save our money. These videos make it sound like saving money is such a dumb idea that you're not really going to get anywhere. But in my opinion, I think saving money for the average person is a really good thing. I think one of the first reasons a lot of people are going broke is because they're just spending money because they can. And I feel like a lot of us are guilty of this. We just see money sitting there in our bank account and we're kind of bored, so we're like, let's go spend it. Or we buy something just because we have the money. And I feel like, especially people who may not have had a lot of money growing up, when you do have money, you all of a sudden get this urge to want to spend it, because I feel like in a lot of ways, society pressures us to spend our money. There isn't really a bigger purpose to having it in your bank account. There's this idea that you only live once, do what you want, spend your money. But I feel like what a lot of people don't realize is, at least in my opinion, we live every single day, which means you need money every single day. Yes, you can die today, you can die tomorrow, but it's never a bad idea to have some money saved up. What I tend to hear a lot is people not knowing where their money goes. Like if you ask them, they can't really tell you where all their money went. And they feel really frustrated because, they're paying their bills and they should have money left over, but they don't. And they just have no idea where that money is going. And what a lot of us don't realize is we spend a lot of money on a daily basis. And one of these is paying unnecessary subscriptions. I'm talking subscriptions on Apple, Netflix, Hulu. People don't tend to think of online subscriptions as really expensive because a lot of these subscriptions tend to be advertised as really cheap. These type of subscriptions seem very harmless, but over time they can add up to a lot of money. And most of the time we're not really on these apps anyways, so why should you be giving out your free money? Another big reason a lot of people are not able to save money is because they eat out a lot. And I know we've all heard this, but eating out is expensive. And unless you're ordering from the dollar menu at McDonald's, you're at least paying like $12 for a meal. And imagine you do this every single day or even twice a day, because, most people eat more than once a day. It can get really pricey and it's just not worth the money you're paying. You're not getting quality food most of the time. If you are, you're probably paying a lot of money for it, which still doesn't make it worth it. And I know for a lot of us, it can be hard to make food at home because we're so busy with work, with school, with everything, that the last thing you want to do is make food. But if you're trying to save up money, you should really consider cooking at home. Another reason a lot of people are not able to save their money is because they're constantly letting others borrow money. And I don't think lending money is a bad idea, especially when someone is in need, but it's also important to kind of know your limit and when it's affecting you negatively. Because if you're always going to be open to letting people borrow money, they're always going to be asking you for money. They're not going to care if you don't have a lot of money. They're always going to try to take anything they can. And not all people are like this, A lot of people will pay back what you lend them, but not everyone does. It can seem like nothing, somebody will ask you for $50, but then they'll ask you for $50 again, and that money just keeps adding up. And unless it's somebody you can trust, there isn't always a guarantee they'll pay you back, or maybe they won't pay you back in a reasonable time. And I think most importantly, you're letting people borrow money because you have extra money, right? But you never know when you might need the money. Unless you're super wealthy, I think for most of us, we need to have that money. It's never a bad idea to have extra money for an emergency, or you never know, you might get fired from your job. And if you're letting a lot of people borrow money, especially large sums of money, and then you find yourself in a difficult situation, you're going to be in trouble. Another reason you might not be able to save your money is because you're always offering to pay the check. And this doesn't go for everyone, but I definitely know sometimes there's this pressure to pay the bill, especially if you're going out with people who make less money than you. I've seen this happen a lot, sometimes even with my family members, where they offer to pay the check because, they have a better salary, which in some occasions does make sense. But if you're constantly doing this, or if you're being pressured to do this because you make a lot more money, you're probably gonna go broke. This next one is a big one. And I feel like a lot of us are spending a lot of money on non-essential services. And a lot of times this is women, including myself. It's so expensive to have your hair done and have your nails done and have your lashes done all the time. Like, it is a pricey. Nice set of acrylic nails start at least $60. Lash extensions, I think, are at least like $100. And, they have to be refilled every 3 weeks, just like nails do. And a lot of this adds up. If you're trying to save money, it might be a good idea to kind of take a pause while you save up your money for whatever goal you might have. I don't know you guys, but when I'm really worried about money, I get really anxious. And in my head, it's not worth it to go get my nails done and then be worrying about how I'm going to pay my bills. It really is about evaluating what's worth it for you. Another huge reason people have a hard time saving their money is because they're always living beyond their means. And I think a lot of people think that when they get a high paying job, they're gonna have a lot of extra money. But that's not always true. A lot of people, when they get more money, they tend to kind of elevate their lifestyle. So, maybe before you bought great value food from Walmart, but now you're buying the organic food. Maybe before you had a Camry, but now you're getting a BMW. People tend to kind of upgrade their lifestyle as they make more money, which isn't always a bad thing, because for a lot of us, that's the whole point. You're making more money, so you're able to afford the things that you like. And a lot of times the things that we like tend to be more expensive. Usually those kind of going into middle class, just barely, are the ones, getting in debt to get some really cool cars or trying to get a really big house, and they're barely able to make the payments for these things. And then I think we need to remind ourselves that, just because you can get something doesn't mean you have to get it. A lot of us are also losing a lot of money to credit cards. I know most people have pretty large sums of credit card debt. If you're a person who doesn't have a lot of money and you get approved for a credit card of like $5,000, it can feel like free money because it's just so easy to use. You just swipe the card and you have whatever you want, and it seems like there's no consequences. But after a while, you take on all that debt, all that interest, and it can sometimes be really hard to pay it off. And then you look at yourself and wonder, was this debt all worth it? And most of the time it wasn't. Most of the time you're spending all this money probably on clothes and shoes and just things that are not essentials. If you know you're able to pay your credit card payment every month, I think it's wise to use your credit card. But if you know you don't have the best relationship with a credit card, it's probably a better idea to just avoid them completely unless you really need to, but they should be kind of last resort. Another reason you're probably going broke is because you are a people pleaser. If you're around people who love to go out constantly, it can be really hard to save money unless you're making a lot of money. It's so expensive to go out, even, just for drinks. A drink will at least cost you $20. And, you know, and you probably at least want two, and that's already $40 plus a tip. And it can get really pricey. And most people are making less than $20 an hour. Like, ask yourself, is this really worth, 2 hours of work? And most of the time it's not. A lot of the times that we go out, we end up coming home and we regret that outing. And don't get me wrong, sometimes we do have fun, but I think it's important to kind of pick and choose when it's worth it, and just know that you don't always have to say yes to going anywhere. And sometimes it's not just going out to eat or going out for a drink. Sometimes you might be pressured into a road trip or to some international trip. We have this fear of missing out, and we want people to like us. We don't like saying no to things, but I think especially when you're young, it's really important to try to reach some type of financial stability. And if you're not getting paid a lot and you're working a minimum wage job, it's okay to be selfish and say no to going out. You'd think that poor people won't buy expensive gifts for their family or their friends, but in a lot of cases, these are the people who are buying the most expensive gifts, especially during Christmas or during birthdays. And sometimes we're spending $100 or even over $100 on these gifts. But it also kind of connects back to people pleasing and just trying to impress others. But sometimes we feel that pressure to kind of give something really cool, or we get really cool stuff to kind of look one certain way. But I'm here to just tell you that it really isn't worth it. A lot of our hard-earned money already goes to bills, it goes to rent. And what's left over, we tend to kind of just spend mindlessly. We think we're spending it on the right things. A lot of times these things are not really bringing us a lot of fulfillment. And I think the only other option is to just save your money instead. I think once you're aware that materialistic items will not bring you happiness, it's much easier to save. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Please feel free to comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.